383 Madison Avenue, 60 floors, 2.5 million square feet, enough glass to cover 47 football fields. And every single morning, a group of 22-year-olds walks through the lobby wearing suits they bought specifically for this moment, convinced they are about to change the world. They are not about to change the world. They are about to make slides. But nobody tells them that yet. That's the first rule of investment banking recruitment. The gap between what the job sounds like and what the job actually is must remain intact long enough to get the signature on the offer letter. Here's what the job actually is. From the beginning. Level 1. The analyst, 22 years old, $110,000 base, and you're making less per hour than the guy who delivers your lunch. Your class is 60 people. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Wharton, a few state schools if they graduated top of their class and interviewed like they've been practicing since middle school. Everyone is impressive. Everyone got through 5 rounds of interviews. Everyone thinks they were selected because they're exceptional. JPMorgan didn't hire you because you're exceptional. JPMorgan hired you because you're capable of becoming identical. Give it 6 months. You'll see. The training program is 6 weeks. Financial modeling, pitch book construction, the specific language of this industry, EBITDA, DCF, accretion dilution, synergies, words that mean something precise inside this building and produce blank stares at every dinner party you'll be too busy to attend. Then you're assigned to a group. Healthcare, technology, financial institutions. The group assignment is casual, almost arbitrary. It will determine your next 3 years of life. The hours are the thing. Not because they're long, you knew they'd be long, but because of how they restructure your relationship with time itself. You stop experiencing weeks, you experience deal cycles. A deal cycle is the period between when a client calls with an idea and when that idea either closes or dies. Deal cycles ignore weekends, they ignore holidays. They once ignored an analyst's wedding anniversary so completely that the analyst didn't realize it had passed until his wife mentioned it 11 days later over dinner they ate at 11 p.m. Your actual job is making slides. Nobody says this during recruiting. They say deal flow and strategic advisory and working directly with C-suite executives. What you do is build a 60-page PowerPoint presentation that makes a $4.2 billion acquisition look inevitable. The associate marks it up. You fix it. The VP wants different changes. You fix those. The MD sees it the night before the client meeting and decides the entire approach is wrong. You rebuild it from scratch. It is now 11:47 p.m. The meeting is at 8 a.m. You do this. You go home in the car service. You sleep for 4 hours. You come back. You do it again. Here's the number that breaks most analysts when they finally calculate it. Your $110,000 base salary divided by the actual hours you work comes out to approximately $17 an hour. The Shake Shack 3 blocks away starts their grill operators at $18. The security guard in your lobby makes more per hour than you do. You have a degree from an Ivy League institution and $85,000 in student loans, and you are being out-earned on an hourly basis by the man who checks your bag when you come in at 7 a.m. You do not think about this. Thinking about this is not productive. The deal you spent 8 weeks building a model for falls apart because the 2 CEOs don't like each other. Not a valuation disagreement, not a regulatory issue. Personal chemistry between 2 men in their 60s who met twice and decided they'd rather not spend a board meeting together. 4 analysts, 8 weeks, combined 1,200 hours of work, gone because of a handshake that didn't feel right. This happens more than anyone tells you during recruiting. Bonus season arrives at the end of year 2. $75,000. After 2 years of 100-hour weeks, missed birthdays, a relationship that ended because you canceled dinner 14 times, your ex's birthday, and your own birthday, $75,000 sounds significant until the analyst next to you mentions his was $90,000, and nobody explains the difference. You take the money. You try very hard not to do the math on what an hour of your life was worth for the past 2 years. The math is $17. You do it anyway. Level 2. The associate, 26 years old. Business school felt like parole, and then you went back. You get into Wharton, 2 years of actual weekends, hobbies, sleep that happens at night on purpose. Your classmates talk about work-life balance like it's a real concept that real people actually have. Here's the strange part. You miss it. Not the hours, the intensity. Normal life feels like a video game running at 30% speed. You've been calibrated to a pace that regular employment cannot match. This is the first sign that the bank has done something to your baseline that 2 years of business school cannot fully undo. You go back. First year associate, $250,000 base. The math finally works. You can pay off your MBA loans, $180,000, enough to buy a Ferrari or 36,000 Chipotle burritos in under 2 years if you're disciplined. You are disciplined. Discipline is the one thing the analyst years reliably produce. The difference between associate and analyst isn't the work, it's the accountability surface area. As an analyst, when the model was wrong, someone above you absorbed the client's reaction. As an associate, you are on the client call when the model is wrong. You are explaining why the synergy assumptions need to be revisited. You are watching a CFO's expression shift from interested to skeptical in real time while you recalibrate your answer. You date someone who works in marketing at a company with normal hours. She doesn't understand why deals don't care about dinner reservations. You try explaining. She thinks you're lying about being at the office. The relationship ends. Not dramatically, just quietly. The way things end when two people are living on completely different time zones despite sharing the same city.
Level 3, the vice president, 30 years old, $400,000 base. 300 other people have your exact title. You are middle management in a cathedral. They make you VP in your 3rd year as associate, $400,000 base. The title sounds significant. Then you learn there are 300 VPs at JPMorgan. 300. You are one cell in a very large organism that doesn't fully know your name. The real power is managing director, and MD is still years away if it happens at all, which statistically it won't. The pyramid. 60 analysts in your class. Maybe 20 came back as associates. 8 made VP. 2 will make MD. The math is not ambiguous. It is a deliberate institutional attrition machine that extracts maximum output from the largest possible group and rewards a fraction so small it should be statistically discouraging. It isn't discouraging because you are, by this point, constitutionally incapable of reading your own odds clearly. You start seeing the politics that were invisible at analyst level. The MG who takes credit for a deal a VP spent 4 months structuring. The senior VP who's been passed over for promotion 3 years running and has quietly started undermining junior colleagues to protect his position. The Rainmaker MD who treats his team like replaceable components and keeps getting away with it because his revenue number has too many zeros to argue with. You navigate it. You learn which battles cost more than they're worth. You learn that at this level, confidence is not a feeling, it's a performance you give every morning regardless of what the night before looked like. Your bonus in a strong year crosses 7 figures for the first time, $1 million, enough to buy 200,000 Big Macs, enough to fund 40 average American families for a year, enough to feel, briefly, like the sacrifice was proportional. Then you look at your calendar for the next month and realize you have 4 weekend blocks that are completely unavailable and you cannot remember agreeing to any of them. Level 4, the managing director, 35 years old, base $500,000, bonus in the millions, and the stress just changed shape. It didn't leave. Year 12, you made it. MD, the title that the analyst version of you saw on org charts and used as a reference point for what success meant. You are now responsible for revenue, for client relationships, for protecting your team when the market turns and layoffs start moving up the org chart like water finding the lowest point. Here's what nobody tells you about finally making MD. The stress doesn't decrease, it metastasizes. As an analyst, you stressed about slides. As an MD, you stress about whether the entire industry is evolving faster than your skill set. AI-assisted financial modeling, now standard at every major bank, has compressed the analyst work that used to take 80 hours into something that takes 12. The pitch for why a first-year analyst at JPMorgan is worth $110,000 is getting harder to make internally. You've watched 3 MD peers get quietly managed out in the last 2 years, not for bad performance, but for becoming expensive in a cost structure that found a cheaper alternative. You have enough money to leave. Real money, enough that your financial advisor uses the phrase generational wealth without irony. JPMorgan's top MDs take home $4 to $8 million in strong years. If you've saved half of what you've earned over 12 years, you have more money than 98% of Americans will accumulate in their entire working lives. You won't leave, not because you can't, because at 35, with 13 years of this institution's DNA inside your professional identity, leaving feels less like freedom and more like amputation. Level 5, the machine. You're 13. The new analyst class starts Monday. You're giving the welcome speech. You'll stand in front of 60 people in new suits and tell them this job will challenge them in ways they cannot yet imagine. You won't tell them what it costs, not because you want to deceive them, because the information wouldn't change anything. You didn't listen when someone could have told you. Nobody does. Some of them will last 2 years and leave for private equity, carrying JPMorgan's name on their resume like a passport stamp that opens doors in every room that matters. Some will make associate, then VP, then get managed out in a restructuring at 33 with a severance package and a reference letter and a vague sense that they gave the best decade of their cognitive life to a machine that processed it efficiently and moved on without pause. 2 of them, maybe 3, will make MD. They will stand in this same room 13 years from now and give this same speech. They will look out at 60 new faces in new suits and feel something between pride and recognition and the specific guilt of someone who knows what's coming and has decided that knowing isn't the same as being responsible for it. The machine doesn't run on cruelty. It runs on something more efficient than cruelty: selection. It selects for people who will rationalize the cost as investment, who will reframe the sacrifice as discipline, who will stay not because they're trapped, but because leaving starts to feel like losing. And somewhere right now, in a dorm room at Penn or Michigan or UT Austin, a junior is submitting their application. Cover letter polished, GPA listed, 2 internships that weren't JPMorgan, carefully framed as stepping stones toward this. They think the hard part is getting in. The hard part is getting out. Not out of the building, out of the identity the building builds inside you, floor by floor, year by year, until the suit you bought for your first day fits exactly like the one you'll wear to your last. The machine keeps running. It always does. And it has never once needed anyone to be happy in order to work perfectly.